All right. So I think everybody can hear that. Let me give it a big check real quick. I always like to double, triple check. Let's see. Yep, there we go. All right. Um. So Absolute Batman #1 came out. Got my copy. Got the meme cover because it was the cheapest cover. They didn't have the one I actually liked, which was the oh goodness, what's his name? The fellow that did Beyond the White Knight. Beyond the White Knight artist Sean Gordon Murphy. I thought his cover was actually pretty cool, but he's always really good at covers. I kind of like that I have this cover because it seems like a kind of a young bloods #1 thing, like something that a billion people will find in shops in 20 years that for $1. Um, and that kind of sets the standard for the whole comic. I'm gonna review it real quick. There will be spoilers, and I mean, my gosh, it's a #1. What is there to it could be spoiled? Also, if a story is good, who cares about spoilers? Who cares if you know the ending? You enjoy it regardless. I mean, that's why people watch movies they've seen over and over and over again, read books that they've read over and over again, etc., etc. This book did have some cool covers, but what made them cool is kind of what I'm going to go into. The Here's the thing. To start things off, I don't think this is a good book. Um, I don't think it's necessarily bad. It's just like a Batman book. It's kind of uh, a less good Elseworld book. Scott Snyder, he's done good work before. Of course, he did Court of Owls, which I think is probably his biggest Batman contribution, and that's a really good contribution. Um, he tried to do, the Joker wearing his face as a mask thing, and that was memorable. I don't think Death of the Family was that good. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't really necessary. It was just kind of there, and that's kind of how a lot of Snyder's run was. I think that run was after Court of Owls. You pretty much can just ditch the entire run. It's not bad, but it's not necessarily good. And he kind of did a sort of Elseworld story in that one where Commissioner Gordon becomes Batman for a while, and that was really one of the weaker parts of it. I did like Mr. Bloom as a villain. I don't think he was written super well, but of course the art. Other than like the faces of some of the characters, I really did enjoy um, the art on that run with Capullo. I do like Capullo, especially his Spawn run. And going back to it, this is a Spawn book. That's the best way to characterize Absolute Batman is that it's a weaker, more PG/PG-13, probably more PG-13 than our version of Spawn. Um, it's a little gruesome. It's not as gruesome as Spawn. It's a little harsh. It's not as harsh as Spawn. The Batman design is Spawn. I mean, the big legs. I get Batman's supposed to be jacked and Spawn is ripped and he's not super jacked, but his boots and his gauntlets are. Batman fights a lot with his cape in this. It's kind of like a malleable weapon that he can use to grab people. I guess he's running like electroshock through it or something. They kind of explain the engineering behind it. But I mean, that's Spawn. He's got spikes that kind of come off of it. That's Spawn. I mean, that's a Spawn. That's a Spawn pose if I've ever seen one. The axe, Spawn. The way he deals, dispatches with villains, except for killing them, Spawn. um, this is a McFarlane Batman. This is in an else world where McFarlane continued to make Batman. I'm not trying to be mean, but that's the overview. So to get into it a little bit more, it actually follows Commissioner Gordon. No, I'm sorry, not Commissioner Gordon. It actually follows Alfred Pennyworth, and In this world, he's some kind of secret agent that comes back to Gotham because whoever is employing him wants him basically to check out the crimes that's happening there. Black Mask is there. I don't think he's called Black Mask in this, but his gang of bad guys, the party animals, are destroying everything every night, and they know Batman's a new player in Gotham. So it's very wordy. First complaint. There's pros and cons to this book. I'll start with the cons. Very wordy. Lots of here. 2-page spread here of just nothing but words. I know I'm not saying it's a 2-page spread as in like it's a spread page. I'm just saying if you look at it, it's 2 pages of words. And words can be good. I mean, my first book, Apollyon 20XX, has a lot of exposition in the first chapter. We did that to get it out of the way. And I get this as an Elseworld, but this is still... This feels like a first draft, to be very honest. A lot of this feels like a first draft. There's a lot of things being said over and over. A lot of things very heavy-handedly said, and I don't know if they're trying to write this for a younger audience, if they're trying to capture like the 90s extreme, where it was targeted towards 12, 13-year-olds, but it had like blood and violence and stuff in it. And I guess that would make sense if that demographic bought comics and not manga. Alfred's kind of like he's this John Wick type character, which feels very weird. I know there's iterations of Alfred where he was in the army or secret agent, and there's other kind of stuff like this. And I know this is Elseworld. It just feels very gruff. It doesn't quite feel like Alfred, other than that he drinks tea. His bike gets stolen at the beginning. And then we jump to... So he spends... Let me see. He spends 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages introducing Alfred. That's a little much. It probably could have been done in 2 or 3. We're introduced. There's like a bait and switch. This is a guy that they kind of... This whole page is a guy boxing and talking to himself. Sorry, my lighting is very dark in here. And he's saying, tonight is your city, no fear, no weakness. Tonight you are a... And it's this guy boxing, but you know it's not Bruce, because you've seen the cover. You've seen what Bruce Wayne looks like. He's way bigger than this guy. So, of course, big Bruce Wayne comes in and asks if he can use the bag. And this is Bruce Wayne right here. This is how we're introduced to the main character. You don't see his face. You don't see anything except basically his shoulders. And I get he's supposed to be big. And I know we all know who Bruce Wayne is. And we know who Batman is. But I don't know. Back in the day, this probably would have been a full page spread of his face, or at least like half a page of his face, maybe his body in form, like a big introduction. You can introduce his body and his face in a proper introduction. So you're seeing this, and he's boxing the bag while he's remembering the day that his dad died at a shooting at the zoo. And then he talks to, I guess this is supposed to be the Elseworld version of Killer Croc. Calls him Waylon. I don't know Killer Croc's real name. I don't care to really know it, but I'll look it up. Waylon Jones. Okay, yep. And we guessed that because it's this big guy with he's got exotic pets. He's got like a crocodile in one hand, a snake in the other, alligator, whatever. And in this Elseworld, him, Oswald Cobblepot, Harvey, and Selina all play poker together, and they all grew up like in this rough city together. There's even a picture of them as kids at the bottom, and you get this thing of like that they're screwed over because they're poor and nobody cares about them. This is our home, man. Someone's got to do something. That Waylon says to Bruce about the crime that's happening. I think this is a lame angle, to be honest. Like this kind of Stephen King / like Steven Spielberg family of kids group thing. This is our neighborhood. This feels very 80s, kind of dated. Feels kind of strange. I don't like Elseworlds. I mean, maybe this is a personal thing. I don't really care for Elseworlds where they like, oh, now they're all friends, or like the enemies are good guys are bad guys now. Whatever, maybe that's a nitpick, but a lot of the dialogue here between him and Waylon just kind of repeats itself. It's unnecessary. And then this part is definitely the introduction of Black Mask, which I don't think that's what they call him. I don't think they call him a name in this one, but he's with several of the crime bosses on a yacht, and he's got like these alien people with him, like a girl and a kid. And they've got like tendrils for hair, kind of like Star Trek or Star Wars villains, and they kill like the mob bosses. And this entire 1, 2, 3 pages are not needed in this book. They are a complete waste of time. They don't really add to the story at all. These might be okay pages. Again, lots of dialogue. Lots of dialogue. And again, I understand lots of dialogue in the first chapter, but this parts of this seems unedited. It also is a little confusing the way they kind of throw terminology and names around. And this is the problem with Elseworld books, is a lot of times they throw names and references around so you know who this person is in relation to the real timeline. But anyway, story wise for this book, these 3 pages are not needed. They could be consolidated down into probably 2 pages, and could be in the next book, because what they're doing is showing you who basically controls the party animals and his movement, and that's not that's not needed. You could do that in the next book or some other time. I think they really wanted to make this a big issue, like several thicker pages, and that's why it's in there. A lot of stuff in here. Then we get to several more lines of dialogue that are very kind of on the nose. Commissioner Gordon is not Commissioner Gordon. He's a mayor, and he's very weak. He does not feel like Commissioner Gordon, even though he looks like him and he has the military haircut. He's trying to appease people, saying he can handle the crime, and the whole time Alfred is watching from above. He's not supposed to interact. Alfred's not supposed to interact. He's just supposed to observe Batman. The gang breaks in. The party animals break in. They all have black masks on that are shaped like apes. They shoot Gordon, but you don't know if he's actually hurt or not. That kind of gets cut off. Barbara got diversified. That's not the nice way to say it. I mean, but it's a joke. It's a meme at this point with comics. Barbara, just get everyone out of here now. So Gordon is kind of useless in this book. Again, he gets shot with an AK-47. It is across from a room. I don't know how accurate those are from that far of away. It blows up the entire podium he's in front of, which that's solid wood. Those rounds are very strong. I don't know if he's wearing bulletproof vest or what. You don't see any blood. You never know in this scene what happens to him. So the party animals are shooting everybody up, and then Batman drops in from above. We get a splash page. It's not bad. Very, again, kind of Spawn-like the way he does it. I know Batman's a bat. I understand the history of Batman, but if you see it, just his proportions and the way the cape is shaped, it's very Spawn. Another thing is, it looks like this is daytime. It's sunset, but it's still daytime, and Batman fighting in the daytime is really weird, and he apparently does it right in the middle where all the media can see him. And Alfred confirms that this Batman is a genius, just like every other form of Batman or whatever. And he's a tactical genius, of course, but I guess it could be a mistake that he's fighting in daytime that he overlooked. I guess that's possible. It's just weird. We don't know we know he wants to keep his identity secret, and that's easier to do at nighttime. I know also that the gang is attacking during the day, so he has to be there when the gang attacks, but as a writer, you could make the gang attack at night, to cover that up. A lot of words. Tons of panels on this page, and tons of panels can be found. I know in the indie comics community that's kind of a meme right now, but these feel more choppy, and it's just so Alfred can tell the audience that this Batman doesn't kill, basically. I think there's probably a better way you could have done that. You could have just made it in Alfred's notes after the fight. You could have made this fight better looking than this, I think, without all the words. This Batman does have an axe that really doesn't make any sense to me. I think that's just there for the absolute. I need to say it. When you see absolute in this run, just replace absolute with extreme. It's the same thing. It's the same thing from the 90s. Um, just replace absolute with extreme. So he has an axe and he cuts this one guy's hand off that charges him. That's again a more Spawn thing to do, and he kind of the writer tries to overwrite it with after he cuts his hand off. Batman goes, "I hear they can reattach them sometimes. There's a hospital 3 blocks south of here, or is it east? I can't seem to remember all of a sudden, but I'd run." That's I think that's a little too cold for Batman. I don't think. I mean, you can bleed out from getting your entire hand cut off very easily. There's a lot of veins there. Um, yeah, I don't know if you could make it 3 blocks, especially if you don't know the direction. Again, this it feels like Spawn Light. If I had to describe this book or this Batman at least, Batman yells at them, then he blows up all the stairs to capture them. Alfred gets the drop on him and like threatens him. Batman takes him out, and then we get the whole backstory of Bruce Wayne from Alfred's point of view, tracking him down. Bruce's mom, Martha, is still alive in this version. I don't really care. I don't really care much for the art in general, but the flashback art I think is especially not very great. At least the colors, they're very, very, very pastel. A lot of yeah, I think it takes too much to tell this story. So his dad dies in a public shooting at a zoo. I'm only laughing because I don't know if that's ever happened. I don't know if that's ever happened, but it gives a reason for for Bruce to get locked up in like the Bat sanctuary while his dad dies. So I guess that's why he likes bats. Um, Way too much information. I think there's about 3 pages worth of information from Alfred about Bruce, and like I get it's Elseworld, but we do know the story of Bruce Wayne. You know, I think this is more padding. Somehow, Alfred traces Bruce. He's set up in the tops of buildings that he helped build because he's been in civil engineering. He's been in all these other fields that and it's like doesn't make sense that he knows that these buildings are abandoned. No one uses them. They somehow have power. Now I'm just being persnickety, I guess. But he's got like 17 monitors at the top of this building. I don't know if it has power or not. Apparently it does for the monitors, nothing else. I don't know if the elevator works, but I don't know if it matters. Alfred tries again to get the drop on Batman. They make a note that the shotgun that Batman stole from Alfred has been modified to be non-lethal. I don't think you need to say that. Again, a lot of things kind of treat the reader like they're dumb, and even if it was written for kids, I don't think, or not kids, but like early teens, I don't think they're that dumb. I mean, they do play Fortnite, but again, too much. I think too much dialogue here. And that's the end of it. At the very end, we get an epilogue that introduces the Joker as a rich guy that basically has Batman's origin story. He's been training under various people, except he kills them when he's done training with them, even the League of Shadows. And they call him the Joker because he doesn't laugh at anything. So the roles are kind of reversed. That's okay, I guess. I don't know. I'm not really interested in it. I'm sure it'll get some praise from some people because it's different. I don't think different equals good. I think good equals good. I don't know. I can't justify spending $5 more on another issue of this. I don't think Snyder's going to stick the landing. I don't know. I don't think it's a good setup. Like I said, it's not bad, but it's not Batman, and that's not me being a toxic fan. It's just I think there's so much Spawn in this, especially the aesthetic, which is what they've been trying to sell it on, that I would just read Spawn instead. I don't know. I don't recommend it, especially for $5. The covers could be kind of cool, I guess. I mean, I've bought books for covers before. I bought Ahsoka 1 for covers, and that is not a good book. But I wouldn't say read New Spawn, but I would say read maybe the first 50 issues of Spawn instead. But anyway, I'm gonna try to do more of these as I can. It's just hard to justify that kind of money. It's hard to justify spending $5 on a book you don't really care to read. But if anyone has any ideas, if anyone wants to tell me how dumb I am or how wrong I am, that's fine. Just throw it in the bottom and I'll try to interact as much as possible. Thanks, guys.